Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence, and people dying every day. Police, injustice, it's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is what we do. Today, we want to talk about a new perspective. That's right, y'all, a new perspective. I got my boy Brian P. over here, and we're going to talk tonight about resolutions and perspective. Do resolutions really work for us? What do you think, audience? Yes or no? Because it's about that time when a whole lot of us will be making resolutions, trying to say what we're going to do in the next year. And in fact, I'm so done with this that I just want to take the word and set it to the side somewhere because that's how I feel. But I want to talk to my boy here, Brian P., the man with all the answers on perspective. What's going on, Mr. Brian?
Oh, what's going on, Gerald? Thank you so much for having me. And I do want to tip my hat off to you for all that you do. And there's a shortage of mental health professionals in the country. But hey, you doing your thing, man. You can only help one person at a time, and I see you doing it, man. So I tip my hat off to you, man. Thank you again for having me, man.
Thank you, man. And you know, just keep me in your hopes and prayers, because you know, I just, like you said, I want to try to help all that I can, one person at a time.
That's it.
And also help myself, because if I don't help myself, then how can I tell anybody else to help themselves?
That's true. That's true.
So I appreciate that.
Yes,
So, hey, Brian, man, tell me a little bit about your background, your book, and what you're doing, because I think it's really important and relevant to mental health.
Okay. Well, what I do, my background, I'm born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm here. I love it. I don't want to live anywhere else. I love to visit places, but I don't want to live anywhere else. But my background, I am an author, and my book just went #1 bestseller last year on Amazon, and I'm very proud of that. This is not my first book. This is the first one that has gone #1 bestseller. And what I do, I speak. I go and speak regarding my book, regarding my perception. The name of the book is actually Notes to Self, Utilizing the Subconscious Mind. It's a 30-day journal. We can call it affirmations, or, and some people, as you already stated, some people say resolutions. But we'll get into that, and I'm just going to follow your lead. And I'm very proud of what I've accomplished so far. I'm not flexing. I'm just grateful and I'm thankful for where I am right now, because what I know now, it took me a while to get here. Trial and error, bad decisions, mistakes, and dumb decisions as well.
And just thank you for that.
Yeah.
Really, really quickly.
Yeah.
What was the name of your book again?
Notes to Self, Utilizing the Subconscious Mind. It can be, my website is under construction right now, but it can definitely be found on Amazon, Books A Million, Walmart.com, all of those, but just go to Amazon.com.
If you ain't got the book yet, please go to Amazon.com and get this book. I'm sure you're going to find it to be very helpful to you.
Thank you so much, man.
So Brian, man, let me ask you this. When did you know, before we get into the discussion about perspective, when did you know that you wanted to be an author?
When did I know? It was a while. I say around 2000. 2000. I wanted to share my expertise, what I had learned regarding my past failures and successes, and just from my perspective, because I'm very observant. And I just wanted to share what I learned with other people, because I know there were so many more people out there like me, and some better off and some worse off. And I just wanted to do that. So I did write my first book, and it was called We're Holding Us Back, because
Mm.
at one point I was holding myself back, and I self-published it. But however, because I didn't know anything about the business, literary business or anything, I self-published it. I did the layout, the cover design, the editing, and I don't recommend that to anyone. I'll leave that to the professionals because I didn't know anything. But the thing is, the big picture was I did it. It was a great learning experience for me, and I did it. So that's when I actually knew that I wanted to write, and it's so enjoyable for me.
Mm,
Yeah,
I can tell. I can tell. You
yeah.
know, and listening to you talk,
Mhm.
one of the things that stood out to me, a few things stood out to me.
Yeah.
I feel your passion for writing. I feel your passion for learning. So I want to ask you this:
Yes, sir.
um, how how has failure played? What role has failure played in you evolving into the person that you are right now?
Where role has failure played? Um, I'll put it like this: I thank God for my successes, and I thank Him for my failures also, because without failures, I'll say it like this: there has to be rain in our lives for us to appreciate the sunshine, and I learned from those failures. And I'll put it like this also. And I wrote a quote, and it's part of the book also. I'll just share this a little bit. One of the quotes is, taking an L is not always a loss. It's a lesson, and we learn from those lessons. The time we don't learn, if we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you're not going to keep bumping your head up against the wall.
Right.
It's going to take one time to learn from it because it hurts, right?
Right. Exactly.
I'm not
Exactly.
going to go back and keep doing it. No, no, no. I'm gonna learn that first time. We learn from it. It's not a loss. It's a lesson. And I had
You know
plenty of
what? I oftentimes like to think about like baseball and
it.
basketball and many of the sports we play. Think
Yeah.
about baseball. They fail most of the time at hitting. 70% of the time, they fail. In
Right.
basketball, they fail 60% of the time. You know, when you think about that,
hmm
what comes to my mind is we have to be prepared that we will fail. But failing is not the end game because when we fail, it's a teachable moment, which
That's it.
allows us to get better. But I think one of the challenges we have with failure
hmm
is that we don't want to deal with the emotion that comes along with it. So we don't want to be in that space because we don't want to feel sad or rejected or we don't
Yeah.
want to feel hurt. So our perspective in failing is that I'm not good enough when I fail. I'm inadequate versus saying it's just an L. What can I learn from this? And how can I take this learning and use it to improve my plan
Right.
so
And
I
I'm
can do better the next time?
absolutely. And Gerald, I'm not going to sit here in front and say that I have not felt all that. I felt incompetent. Felt like a failure. Felt like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I wasn't worthy enough. Nobody wants to read this. I have been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. However, it took myself to pick myself up, and I had to talk to myself subconsciously, saying, "Wait a minute, I'm not all of that. I'm better than that, and I can do this," because it does make you feel all those things mentally, emotionally, and because
Mm.
we're human, man. Nobody expects us to get it just like that and just fall down and jump right back up. How many times it took me to fall off my bike when I was little? It took me a
Exactly.
while, but you do get frustrated. We are
Exa-
human,
e-
emotional.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that because I think we need to testify to that,
Yeah.
witness that because most of us, we fail because we are learning
Mhm.
and we can take that, we can own it and live in that space, or we can create a new perspective. And in creating a new perspective, we can say, I failed, but what did I learn?
There you go. There you
How
go.
can I get better?
There
How
you
can
go.
we turn this page?
Hmm.
With that being said, I want to ask you a question because about you and your book.
Yeah.
How do you see perspective? And you talked about the internal thing, this internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Perspective. That's such a wide open word because we all are different. We're individuals. My perspective is not the same as yours. As regarding ourselves, it's what you see in the mirror. It's what you want, your goals, your aspirations, your reason for being here. And I think I told you the two most important days of our lives are the day we were born and the day we discovered why we were born, which is actually our purpose. So,
Mm,
and to reach our purpose, we have to look at ourselves. What do I see? What's my perspective of myself? Do I think I can do this or not? But
mm.
that's, like I said, that's such a wide open word and term. You will be here all night discussing perspectives because we are all there are over 8 billion people in this world,
Right,
and every one of us are different. You can be identical twins, but you there's some similarities and some differences between twins, or you can look alike but still have some differences.
right.
Yeah,
So we could argue that perspective is unique to
mhm,
a individual's experiences,
yeah, right.
what they've been taught, what they've
And
been
what you want?
exposed to, what their culture,
That's it.
their own biology.
Yes, sir.
So
You
the
got
way they see information may seem different than
it.
the
Mhm.
way somebody else sees it based on their overall
Perspective.
evolution as a person, their personality,
That's
right?
it. And that's not saying I'm wrong or you're wrong, but we have different perspectives
Right,
because
right.
we're all individuals, and we were made like that.
Exactly. Exactly. We all were made differently. So
Different.
so we start off this conversation often thinking about perspective,
Yeah.
developing a new perspective, and thinking
Mhm.
about your book because you're talking about perspective. Here we go, thinking about New Year's resolutions, thinking about perspective.
Right.
How do you see that? How do you tie that into your narrative, your story, your book?
Well, I will tell you, I'm not against people making resolutions, but because like I said, we're all different. I'm not against that. But however, resolutions to me, my take on it is resolutions are okay if we execute and utilize subconscious information. For instance, I'm going trying to give you an example. I can say all day, okay, January 1, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. That's okay. I'm not against that. That's just says we want someone wants to get better, become better. We want to be, we want to do, we want to have. However, it's not really going to take root or take effect until we have a change in our mindset, utilizing subconscious information that we have stored up in the back of our minds. That's where everything is conceived. All things
Mm,
are conceived in the mind. But you want to lose weight? What's your plan? What's your goal? How do you plan to get there? Making small, manageable steps towards that common goal or whatever goal that you have, whatever it is that you desire. And what I tell people, what I started doing a couple of years ago,
mhm,
no New Year's resolution. I just want to do this. I tell anyone that asks me, because I'm not going to give my opinion unless I'm asked, make small steps, complete small goals each quarter of the year.
mhm,
Okay, January, February, March. I want to do this. These are the monthly steps that I'm going to do to get there. But we have to once we make these small the notes to self, which are just affirmations. The book is full of affirmations that I've come up with, and it's a journal for the reader to write their own. It's a journal, so write your own thoughts, what you want to have. Once these affirmations, I'm gonna tell you the two ways we get there to reach a goal through affirmation and visualization. You have to affirm what you want to do, what you want to be, what you want to have, and visualize yourself doing it. Visualize yourself 10, 20 pounds lighter
Right.
instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Visualize yourself. And the affirmation is what we keep repeating consciously over and over and over again until it actually takes root.
Mm.
Until it takes root and we develop strong convictions about it. This is what I'm going to do. And we get emotional about it.
Mm.
That's when it takes root and we execute that to reach that goal. But that's just my take on it. I'm
You
not
know,
a professor or anything, but that's
you
my
know
take.
what? When you know it, right?
That's it,
So,
man.
let me say this. When I hear what you talk about in evolving our own self perception, what
Mm-hmm.
we perceive ourselves,
Yeah.
I hear the desire for one to believe in themselves. Because if I don't believe in myself, if I don't change that internal dialogue, that part of me deep inside, if I don't change it, that's what's up here in my head,
Yes.
then I'm probably not going to be able to maintain any plan because I have to believe that I'm capable and able of accomplishing this. So when you talk about that internal dialogue, I think
Yes.
it's important that we begin to really evaluate the negative messages we have about ourselves. Because when we evaluate the negative messages, while we doing this daily journaling,
Right.
we need to challenge those voices in our head that tell us that we can't, that tell us we're not smart enough, that tell us we're unlovable, we're unworthy, we're
Mm-hmm.
not kind enough, we won't be received.
That's it.
Because those messages make it hard for us to visualize the very thing that we want to become.
Yep. And
So
I'm gonna tell you,
yeah, go ahead.
you remember when you were little, you watch cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons. Um, you have the little guy in the red suit over here with the pitchfork,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had the other one over here with the angel with the wings on his back and the halo over their head.
Mm-hmm.
That's our subconscious mind talking to us over here, talking to us over there, and we listen to it. We listen to the good, we listen to the bad, and most times the one over here in the red with the red suit and the pitchfork, they normally overshadow the sweet little innocent one with the halo and the wings on his back. That's our
Right.
subconscious, and we end up self-sabotaging ourselves, talking ourselves out of something. I've done it plenty of
Mm-hmm.
times, talking ourselves out of something. And you just said it. I'm incompetent. I'm incapable of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that subconscious. There's subconscious red suit with the pitchfork, and
Mm-hmm.
there's subconscious so much information that we have that can make ourselves better. But because of past failures, maybe we failed somewhere. Somebody told us we're not going to be nothing, and we let that take root to
Mm-hmm.
overshadow. We kept that, and it can come from childhood all the way up to adulthood to right now
Yeah.
with so much fear. All of that is just embedded in our mind, but we have to overcome that.
Yeah. There is things. So when I hear what you're saying, I think about it
Mhm.
in many different ways. Number
Yeah.
one, I think the environment that we're raised in, our parents,
Yes.
you know, uh, our church or synagogue or mosque,
Mhm. Yeah.
our school, our community, the things we
Hmm.
watch on TV, the friends that we have,
Hmm.
the places we go. All these things are helping shape our perception of self. And early on in school, I remember being in challenges and being in situations and being in things that perhaps didn't always promote my greater sense of self or my intellectual abilities.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, by the time I was 10 or 11 years old, I was able to uh, build a radio. um, in the classroom, I didn't feel like I was all that that smart, but
Right.
yet I could build a radio and had all these could fix anything. It felt like I could look at it and like, oh, I could think this is
Yeah.
what's going on with this, analyze it and fix it. But I didn't feel the overly intellectual in the school experience.
Okay.
But I think about that and how as I grew, I began to realize that I was
Yeah.
a pretty pretty smart person, and
Yeah.
that I could do anything I wanted to do.
That's it. And you did that when you were what, 9 or 10? What age were
Well,
you?
I
Around?
built the radio. I built the radio uh, when I was about 11 years old.
That's
I went. You remember, I used to have those places called Circuit Circuit
Circuit City.
City
Circuit City. Yeah, 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 yeah,
and Radio Shack. Remember
yeah.
Radio Shack? So they used to have these kits that you could buy where
Oh
you could build radios and do all kind of electronic projects and stuff. Well, I got
yeah.
really into that, and I used to build all kind of electrical
Oh
stuff
man,
as a child. And
that's good.
and I felt so I felt like so good doing that, and that reinforced my
Yeah.
intellectual
Mm-hmm.
capacity,
Right. And you
who
know
I
what,
was as a
man?
person. And
Right.
I think a lot of us, early on in school, if we wasn't like quote unquote the ideal student, we didn't make straight A's, or we wasn't in the gifted and talented classes right off the bat, then
Indeed.
we might have felt like we wasn't that smart. But in reality, our intellect was actually being coming from a different place. The way
Mm-hmm.
it demonstrated itself, I needed to be more visual. I needed to be more hands on. I needed to be more engaged to really show what I could do intellectually.
Right.
Just sitting in
Outside
a
of the
go ahead.
outside of the public school curriculum.
Outside of public school curriculum. Now
And you know,
later, when school became something, when I became more, say, more aware of
yeah.
myself, and I understood the benefits of the intellectual education, and it related to my own personal goals more, it made more sense, and I became a better student in school.
There you go. It all connected.
Yes, connected.
And you know, you made that radio back then, and look, you didn't need YouTube.
No, I
You
didn't
didn't
need
need
you to. No, I didn't. I built it. I looked at the schematics, and I got a soldering gun, and I put the radio together, and that just worked too.
Man, there was no Google back then. There was no YouTube, but none of that, man. But you did it. Think of what you can do now.
Exactly. So that being expanding place, you
Right,
know,
right.
and appreciating and understanding that I was more than just something that was in the classroom, but also I had those people. And I tell people all the time, it's important to have people in your life who speak life into you, that tell
Yeah.
you that you're smart, that tell you you're gifted, tell you you're talented, tell you that they love you, and that you can do anything that you want to do, despite
Hmm.
the fact that you might fail at something at some point in time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that support matters.
Yeah,
Support matters. I'm telling you, man. We don't realize how much it does until we actually get it. And we, hey, thank you for just a few words. It,
right, right,
and it can come from anyone, not so much the circle around. It can come from anyone.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah,
So in saying all that, I think it's important for us when we begin to evaluate our self-conscious and conscious thinking, we have
yes.
to we have to consider our environment, our family, obviously
Mhm.
abuse and neglect. We have to consider all those things. We have to try to evaluate how we've been put into a box. We
Mm-hmm.
live in a box, and when we try to challenge that box, try to challenge those ideas, we feel uncomfortable. We have a sense of ambiguity, because we're
Okay,
not certain
okay.
about what it's going to look like once we get outside that box.
That's
But
out
when
of
you
the
have
comfort zone.
go ahead.
You're
Mhm.
talking about out once we get out of that comfort zone. It's
Yeah,
hard.
exactly.
We make it so hard to get out of the comfort zone because we're not familiar with what's out there. And 9 times out of 10, we get out once we decide to get out of the comfort zone. That's where your success is.
Right.
That's why success. There's nothing left in the comfort zone. We've conquered everything inside the comfort zone. And I'm also
Mhm.
tell you about. You said earlier about environment. I'm gonna say it before I forget. The greatest predictor of human performance is our environment.
Mm,
Whether we're around, just this small circle, or what, and there's nothing wrong with changing environments
exactly.
geographically or professionally, economically. There's nothing wrong with it. Whatever's going to help us grow as individuals,
Exactly. Nothing.
man.
Yeah, whatever's going to help us grow. I think we have to embrace the fact that we might experience ambiguity. We
Oh,
might feel like we losing something by trying to step out on the water and
yeah,
try something different. But
yeah,
that's a natural way to feel when you don't
yeah.
know. what
Right.
it's going to be like when you
We don't know
actually
what's
do
out there.
this thing. You're trying it. You're trying to see if it can work. So embrace that feeling
Yeah,
of the uncertain, the ambiguity, because I
that's
think
it.
it's helpful in changing our perceptions.
Because people do it every day and
Exactly.
succeed.
Exactly.
I'm saying not saying they feel threatened or just frightened about it, because it is frightening to step outside the comfort zone. But people do it every day and actually succeed. Why can't you and I do the same thing?
Right. And you know what? I think we have to be careful about this
Hmm.
because oftentimes there are those individuals
Hmm.
when you're trying to get outside of your comfort zone
Hmm.
that will speak to you and make you feel bad about trying to change your trajectory.
You
And
know
and,
what?
and a lot of times those individuals do that because they will feel bad because they haven't moved. And
Mhm.
it's almost like, you know, Brian, Uncle Tom has been good to us. We can we
Let's stay
we
here, boss. Stay
stay
right
right
here.
here, bro. We stay right here.
Yeah, yeah,
We got to be aware of that. Like people can only express to you what they know. I mean, there
yeah.
was people. I remember when I went to college, there was people who were saying, "Gerald, uh, you better be careful at college, man. The devil gonna get you when you go there."
Man, you know what I say to that? Oh man, and I've heard that too. The devil, the devil, the devil. We give him too much credit. We give him too much credit, first of all. And when I was speaking about environment, those type of people, that's what I'm saying. The greatest predictor of human performance is our environment. You have to
Mhm.
change your environment. It's so those people, they may mean well, they may not mean well. However, there's nothing wrong. We can still love them, but still have build boundaries. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having boundaries. That's changing your environment. Okay, I'm gonna go over here with the people that are like-minded individuals. They're looking for the same thing I'm looking for. But
Right.
when you
Right.
over here that's trying to talk me out of it, that's not helping me at all. You have to
Yeah.
be strong. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I heard the brother used to say people soft saddle you. Oh, it's okay. He's like, all right, you don't have to do that, man. We all can sit over here and drink some lemonade and be cool or whatever
Right.
and sing kumbaya.
That's it. And another thing, your success often ignites the insecurities in other people.
Say that again. Say that again.
Yours, look, our success can often ignite the insecurities in other people. So those over there, they're saying, no, you don't need to do all that. Man, you don't need that education, Gerald. You don't need to go to college because the devil is there. They're more often than not, they're insecure about their own selves, themselves,
Mm,
that they're not doing what they really want to do. So you're
mm,
bringing their insecurities up to the surface, and it's
mm,
it's no longer in the subconscious; it's in their conscious mind, and they're making conscious efforts to talk you out of what you want to do. And we're all
mm,
individuals; we have our different perceptions. When we started out with
mm.
those perceptions, but you have to change your environment.
There you go.
I saw a video of 50 Cent the other day. He said a bottle of water in the store costs $1. A bottle of water in the at the stadium costs about $5. A bottle of water in the airport costs about $7. It's the same thing. You're the same person, but it's all depends where you are. It increases your value. So I would go somewhere where individuals recognize my worth and what I bring to the table. Because
Mm,
over here in the store, well, I'm only worth $1.
mm,
I would rather go over here, and it's not about the money. It's about growth, progress, growth, and increase, which is what we all should want. I
right.
don't want to be worth $1 all my life. I want to go over here. I want to be in the airport. I want to be a bottle of water in the airport that's worth $7. They know my worth. They know what I bring to the table, and they
Right.
can respect that. Changing environments.
So
That's
so
all.
and with that being said, I emphasize this point because I'm hearing you, and I feel like going back again to the idea of self perception,
Mhm.
the way you see yourself, evaluating your own skills and ability abilities and deciding to be in that environment because you feel like you deserve being in that environment versus being in an environment that's not for you. And you don't have to apologize about that
No,
because you may actually be doing right by yourself and you may unintentionally harm others because you're trying to do right by you.
that's it.
But there's nothing wrong with that. And you ain't got to apologize for that.
Man, I would tell anybody be intentional about what you want, your goals, your aspirations, and be unapologetic about it. Because, like you said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be better, wanting to be
Right.
greater.
Yeah, yeah, and wanting to have success in the way that you want to have success, because for
That's
some
it.
people it is money. Other people might be, hey, just being in a place where they can be near the trees and fish and have a real quiet, easy life. Some people
Yeah,
want to have a real busy life, have a big house. Not everybody
yeah,
wants those things.
right,
You get what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
So some people are just happy with having good health. Like, man, I can be in a situation where I can just have good health. That's what you do. But
That's it.
but do
Perception,
it. But do
perception.
it.
And I
Go
would
ahead.
take go. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, because
I would take failure over regret any day.
break that down. Help me out understand that a little bit more.
I,
Tell me.
I surely will. Absolutely. I'm gonna say it again. I would take failure over regret any day. Failure means I'm trying.
Hmm.
So if I fail, I'm gonna fail or fall. I'm gonna get back up and try again, and I'm gonna keep trying until I get it. Versus let 5 years go by, 10 years,
Hmm.
12 years, 15, 20 years, and I didn't do anything, try anything. That's when the regret is going to get into the feelings of self-worth. The shoulda, woulda, I should have did this when I was 35 years old. Man, I'm just kicking myself. Here I am, 65 years old, and I ain't got older. Failure over regret. No, it's instead of I would take trying instead of just sitting there and running my mouth, executing.
I love that, and that's a great learning experience too. Because if you don't try, then you can't learn. And sometimes when we fail at things, it also opens the door for something we didn't see that will eventually be our success.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something different next time. I'm
Right,
gonna try
right,
this again,
right.
but I'm gonna do something different. And it's not rocket science, yo. This ain't rocket science. This is not brain surgery. It's not Chinese arithmetic. I don't know any of them.
Right.
But
Well, but what you do know, you know. And
there you
and
go.
for those who do rocket science, it makes sense to them. And this makes sense to you. And hopefully it makes sense to somebody else out there.
Yeah,
Listen, listen, I know we ain't got a whole lot more time. This has been
yeah,
good, but you know what? What I would like to, thinking about the resolution thing and
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
changing our perspective and realizing that we gotta work within ourselves to challenge our own perceptions
Yep.
and daily habits and attitudes so we can actually accomplish whatever goal we
That's
have in
it.
life. I think it's important that we develop what we call SMART goals. SMART
Yeah,
goals are specific
there you go.
specific to something. They are measurable. So you know what? If I say I'm gonna walk every day. Well, I'm gonna walk specifically. I'm gonna walk 15 minutes a day.
That's it.
Well, I can measure that because I'm walking 15 minutes a day.
It's
They are,
reachable.
go ahead,
They're reachable
they're
goals.
reachable. They are, so we might say the next thing will be achievable.
There
They're
you
going
go.
to be achievable things.
There you
I
go.
think a lot of times people are not able to accomplish their goals because they make them, they're so unrealistic. Like,
They set the bar way up there. You can't even see it, man. Unrealistic, just like you just said, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to remember that being successful at anything is a process. You're not just going to get there just because you showed up.
No.
Um, yeah, I think another key point is they must be relevant,
Yeah.
relevant to your values, to your what you feel is important in your life.
There you go.
I did this podcast around therapy and mental health. Why? Because that's important to me and it's relevant to me. Um,
Mhm.
naturally and naturally, physically and spiritually. It's something
Yeah.
that I really value. So that's why I do this. I know you wrote your book because it was relevant and important to you, right?
Yes. Yes. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. And the last but not least, one of the smart goals is time sensitive. You give yourself a time frame to do it.
That's it. That goes back to what I was saying earlier.
Mhm.
In 2025, set goals for the first quarter, for each quarter of the year,
Exactly.
okay, and break it down. Those like you were just saying, those reachable goals. Okay, what am I'm to reach this quarterly goal? What am I going to do in January? What steps am I going to take in February and then March? So I will be there instead of trying waiting and dragging your feet and trying to do everything in March and then get stressed out and run your blood pressure up.
Exactly, man. You don't want to do that, man. You don't want to do that. And you know what? And whatever goals that we I think put in place, it's
Yeah.
important that we take out time to take care of our bodies.
Oh man. Yes. Yes. Physical. Yes.
Physical. If you
Yes.
don't eat right, you don't sleep, uh you don't exercise,
That's it.
you don't seek uh if you need some type of spiritual awareness or something to affirm you, you engage in that because those things help us be the best versions of ourselves.
Or look, or counseling.
Or counseling.
Or counseling. That's what you there for. I'm serious for counseling, especially me being a man of color, African American, black, whatever you want to call it. But most of us will not go to counseling or therapy, however you want to say it. But I do, and I'm very happy I do, because it definitely helps. And I'm gonna say this also. I'm gonna shut up and so you can go on with the show. But we are the most important. I know you have a family and everything, but you have to take care of you first. I have to take care of me first, because if I'm no good to me, what am I going to be to them? I don't want to be a burden on my family because I
Right.
didn't take care of myself mentally, physically, just like you were saying, you got to exercise.
Right.
That's it, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly, man. Listen, this has been good, man. I appreciate it. And I hope you all have got something from this show. Please leave the comments in the drop down section.
Yes.
If you like us, subscribe. Brian P, man, we got to have you back again. We're going to continue
Yeah.
this discussion because it's important, y'all. Get motivated, do what you do, and be real about it
Yeah. They.
because we don't need to be contemplating change. We need to
Mm-hmm,
actually make change.
mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Brian, man. And y'all all have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Can I tell you they can find me on
Yes.
IG, Instagram, BP Speaks, the letter B, letter P Speaks, or Facebook, my first and last name, and that's it. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed this, Jared. We got to do it again, and
Yeah,
you
we
keep
got
it
to,
going
man.
too. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. All right,
Much
down there in North Carolina, and it's cold down there.